本当？見えないでしょ？どこにいるのかな？見えないよ。What's good, Internet? It is Friday, April 9th, and you're listening to Waypoint Radio, episode 386. I am your host, Austin Walker. I am joined today by Rob Zachney.
Good morning.
Patrick Klepek.
Hello.
And Cado, as always.
Yo.
What's up, Cado? Wow, that was energetic. Yo, I love it.
It's the weekend, almost.
It's the freaking weekend. That's right.
God.
It's the weekend, and that means there's a delay on a video game. As we started this podcast, Patrick, what was the?
Oh, here we go. Okay,
September something?
Go ahead. This is.
Oh,
You did it.
he did it. Thank you. You need to post this on.
I will post this on
Twitter right now.
I will post that on social
tweet.
Media.
Yeah.
So whatever. I basically, if anyone that's familiar with the Sam Darnold,
Yes.
What did he go out for? Mononucleosis.
Mononucleosis. Yeah.
The meme that came out of that.
ways.
There's a meme generator, and I made one for Deathloop that will make sense if you go and check my Twitter feed.
And if you know that Deathloop has unfortunately been delayed until September something, right?
Yeah, September 14th. Yeah, that every
2
time
days
they announce
ago.
a delay for this game, I'm just like, yeah, sure. Like they should
Yeah.
just complete the game's own delayed Deathloop. Like just say 2022. Pull Warner Brothers and be like, yeah, 2021's just not happening. Sorry. Like see you March 2022 and then delayed to April 15th, 2022.
It's a bummer because it's the game I'm probably most looking forward to this year as an Arcane fan and as like let's fuck around with some time loops. Let's go. A couple days ago, someone sent me an Onion article on the biggest games of spring with like comedic copy underneath images. You know, stuff about like Gengar suspecting his wife is cheating on him. Being tied to the Pokemon Snap, you know, or whatever. The Arcane one is extreme, or the Deathloop one is extremely mean, but also correct for a lot of people. As with Arcane's other titles, this promises to be a game whose intricate systems will fascinate you when you watch a 40-minute YouTube essay on them 2 years from now. Not me, motherfucker. I was gonna play that game, and when this friend sent this to me, I was like, "Oh, is Deathloop spring? I had it set as fall in my head." Days later, I brought this curse upon us. That's a bummer. It's okay.
It gives
we'll
a chance for the marketing campaign to, again, maybe figure out, like, are we expressing what you're actually going to do
What
in this
is
game?
this game? I don't think that'll change.
Look, I love a kinetic, lots of motion graphics trailer with a cool soundtrack as much as the next guy. But at the same time, like they released multiple videos where it's like, we're going to throw all these gameplay moments in a blender and it's going to be cool. And you still may not leave with a good vibe about what you're actually going to be doing, what the game is going to feel like. And it has may have an unfortunate resemblance to We Happy Few in places. And that'll make you nervous because like the whole swinging 60s. I like The Prisoner. How about you? That can, that might have some unfortunate associations too.
Well, like the thing with We Happy Few that ended up breaking bad for me was that like the message of that game seemed to be, please stay off your meds. Don't trust depression medication. That's how they control us. I mean, that's not the message, but that was the vehicle for a theme around control and authoritarianism. And in a world in which like it's still sort of stigmatized for a lot of folks to like be on their meds, and it's actually pretty difficult to stay on your meds for lots of reasons. I don't need the pressure not to. Anyway.
No, a game's politics should not like echo an Everclear album's like whole worldview in some ways, where it's like they're just trying to control you by sending you to therapy. And it's like, I don't know, could be good.
God. Men will create an authoritarian super state instead of going to therapy. Anyway, what's up, everybody? I feel like we do have Friday energy today, even though we're recording on Thursday. I feel like we want to just be done with this fucking week. You know, and just move on.
One of those.
So I actually genuinely believe this. Rob, Patrick, and I had like a late night meeting last night, and it feels like the punchiness is carried over from a 9 p.m. meeting.
Which is weird. It wasn't here until just now. Like, I had a perfectly normal morning.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, hey,
Lock
what's up,
in,
everybody?
What's in this coffee?
What's in this coffee? What did they do to us?
Cado, we actively discussed last night. It got precariously close.
We were very close.
I think if Austin had a drink in his hand, we probably would have just done it. Was like, what if let's just record a pod? We're feeling good. There's like good vibes coming out of the end of this meeting. Like, we'll just record a pod and just like send some links to Cado and be like, good luck. Like, here's your pod.
Here it is. We're done.
Christ.
No backup.
Exported
Fly
this
without
as
a
a
safety net. Yeah.
64 megabyte MP3. Does that do it for you?
You can work with this, right? This is.
You had to make something happen, I guess.
JPEG? I don't. We sent you an NFT of the podcast.
Fuck off.
I don't know. Call the blockchain.
Never in our lives.
Oh damn, Cado, the NFT podcast file, the link is broken. I didn't see this coming.
Good.
But I thought for sure. So it turns out my access to the link, that's secure. That works. What's on the other end of the link appears to be gone.
However, it says here 1,000 other people also have the file. You can just get it from one of them.
Right. And torrent that shit.
Anyway,
I
need Jason to reimburse me $2,000 for this NFT I created.
Also, could we do a carbon offset? That's good, right? People like those. I'm glad we work in a work. You know what? I was gonna say I'm glad we work in a workplace that hasn't fucked with NFTs, but I won't put it past some exec advice to pull the trigger on an NFT before the end of the year.
The New York Times did it, so like, what precludes like a Vice from doing it?
Yeah, some VP being like, you know what the hot new shit is? We're gonna put all our articles out as NFTs.
Well, it would be perfect because like the market has already crashed.
Yes, exactly.
Like everyone kept saying, GameStop's stock is gotta go down at some point. And it like kind of didn't, like, you know, I mean, it did, but like it still was like exceptionally high. But NFTs actually just straight up now they're worthless and may have been stolen from you. So
yeah, yeah. Don't fucking play with fire, especially when that fire is burning down the planet. We're talking about video games. What are we talking about here today? Is that what we're doing?
You know what? Let's just give it over to Rob. Rob, you sent us a list.
Rob,
last night. I gotta be honest. Sometimes Robson's listens like, is this satire? Don't know.
Yeah, he's making fun of himself a little bit. Where do you want to start on this list of things that I think
we'll do? Rob's games, then we'll take a break, and we'll come back.
Can I give you the menu, Rob, and you get to pick? You pick from your own menu.
Absolutely.
All right, in order that I receive. Oh, here's what I wrote down: Judgement, as in the 2019. Yakuza Studio spin-off game.
Game Pass.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 Remastered 2020, which is what you wrote. I think that means there was a 2020 remaster of that game, but I don't remember that coming out. I believe you. Then I wrote Dong Zhuo Conqueror 2019, which I think I'm backwards because you were playing as Dong Zhuo in the latest Total War. Then I just wrote down minus Evil Within, which I think is because you said you were done with Evil Within.
Yeah, fuck that game.
I told you.
And then I wrote down this morning Republic Commando, and then in parentheses Switch, which actually did just come out. Actually, yes, it's a game from like what year did that actually come out?
There's still a caveat. Rob can't play a brand new game. It's got to be
2005, 16-year-old game, but it did just come out on Switch
and PS4.
Look, right?
Not on PC, not on. Okay.
No. I like to array my gaming around various moments where I feel I may have peaked. And just live in those moments.
Ancient China, 2004.
You know, sometimes one just feels a little like Dong Zhuo. You're just living your Dong Zhuo life, and it's a Cao Cao world.
It is a Cao Cao world, yeah. Dong Zhuo is who Lu Bu worked for until he was betrayed and et cetera. Patrick, just so you know.
Thank you.
That's the sort of person. Which I hope I hope that you never have to deal with a Lu Bu in your own life, Rob. I hope that you get to live a Lu Bu free life.
You know, you got to keep a lookout for, always look for talent. Absolutely. But like talent without a shred of morality, that's a watch out.
Anyway, tell me about these Republic Commandos. Speaking of talent without a shred of morality.
Yeah. So, it just came out on Switch, and I was like, this seems like a good time to finally play this game. There's a lot of people who really
love
do
this.
have
They love it. I've played like a level of it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I see where that love comes from beside nostalgia right now. Now, admittedly, I will say I do not think the Switch version is the way to go, unfortunately, because as I'm playing it, it seems a little framey, and because this is a very Halo 1, Halo 2 inspired game in a lot of ways with a little bit of
it's an original Xbox game. I've seen some of the reports on this port, and it's like, this should run. Look, I know the Switch is not, a Series X, but it probably should have been able to run Republic Commando a little bit better than what's dishing out. Especially
because as it's a Halo homage, let us call it, a big part of this game is your ammo runs dry, and you just run up to somebody and club them. As you run up to a droid, your frame rate drops precipitously, and the droid will warp behind you or to the side because you just missed the part where it was animating it scuttling out of your way. And so you're constantly just whiffing on these things in a way that doesn't feel like I need to learn the way of the Republic Commando. Instead, it feels like my Switch can't run this game, which is weird because it also looks like shit. Now, and mind you, Jesus. I know what you're going to say, Rob. It's like a 15-year-old game. Of course it looks like shit. To which I would say two things. Au contraire, games from that era are beautiful, and you just have to appreciate the aesthetics. And two, the thing the Switch doesn't have is resolution. The thing that makes a lot of those old games still look okay is that, the textures are lower res, but the resolution can scale pretty high. And so you get really clean lines and really crisp presentation. And then the models themselves, the textures are a little crude. The Switch version just looks muddy in a way it sort of looks like I'm playing it through someone's webcam pointed at their CRT TV.
So it seems like a specific bug hit this thing, which is when this game came out on PC, there was a bug that turned off bump mapping, and users fixed that problem with a mod. This is according to Reddit user Conquer69, not Conquer the
bump mapping
squirrel.
was one of the big Xbox only features, right?
Yes.
There was a thing that
I believe
that
so.
Machine could only do.
And it just means that this is a game where I'll send this other image here.
It adds bumps. It's actually fairly descriptive of
it adds
what the
bumps,
technology
but it also
does.
adds reflections. It adds it makes this helmet look shinier and cleaner, or not cleaner, but more material in a way. And that is just gone because they're using the PC port of the game as the base and seem not to correct it. I want to know if this is also the case in the PS4 version now. I'm really curious. Anyway, continue.
I don't know, because I was I don't want to just be it's a Switch port, I don't like it, it's framey. I was I don't want to be that guy. No. Yes, do I have an extremely powerful gaming rig that I'm proud to call my own? Absolutely. Do I like to chase the Fidelity Dragon wherever it may fly? Yes, I do. So I decided I was going to give this a shot. And it turns out, there's two things. I went to the Xbox, and you can buy that
original
on the Xbox store.
It
just
sounded like you went up to your Xbox and started talking to it. It's hey, I've been over on this Switch. And
went to the altar.
Take me back, baby. I didn't know what I had.
You got that auto HDR. I could really use that right about now.
Yeah, so no, I fired up the One X and I bought Republic Commando.
Of course you did. It's just a double down. It's just buy it a second time. Well, I guess you redeemed a code, so you didn't buy it the first time. So
so it's I just have to answer these questions.
Rob's actually a journalist, Patrick. Maybe you should understand something like that. He's doing his due diligence.
Get some.
Jason, please sign this reimbursement sheet.
Nice Moleskine.
I don't write it anymore though. These notes go back extremely far to.
It's just for show.
No, I'm just. What's the last? Wrote a lot about horror movies in here. Oh, here are some notes for the Bombcast, December 1st, 2014. Games I'm playing. Dragon Age Inquisition. Let's see. Love how much the world is about politics, race, and class.
Wow, that's a real Patrick Klepek coming to consciousness. 2014, Patrick Klepek makes a discovery, everybody.
I never played Dragon Age before. Bayonetta 2 feels like a good pop song.
Oh, that was about the world of Dragon Age. I thought that was a note you made about the world.
No,
I
Dragon Age.
He's looking out his window. I don't like the state of this.
Black Lives Matter, Gamergate. I'm starting to have some realizations.
Anyway, I occasionally make notes in here, but it's as you can tell, like it's stretching this one out.
So anyway, I fired it up on the Xbox,
the old One X,
and so I should have looked this up, but there wasn't time before the show. Like, I don't know how much the modern Xbox like tries to upscale stuff from like the old Xbox library. It definitely has all that same look, but it just looks much crisper. It looks much sharper.
I saw people saying that this port that still like running the Xbox version of it on a newer Xbox console was still like the way to go to play the game. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's I don't know. They've announced they've been doing like a lot of that, like, backward, like the updated work they've been doing on some games. I think this is just a bunch of the shit that they get for free because of the engineering work they've done on backwards compatibility. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel it's a bummer because I figured this would be a cool thing to play on Switch. An older game. You can just sort of like curl up and play a little Republic Commando. It just feels bad. Like I don't like it on Switch. I'm not sure I'm gonna like it that much on Xbox.
I was gonna say this has struck me as a game that is like much more in need of an actual, like, if you're gonna bring it back, like do a sequel or a proper like remake. Like, it's a game that like you could probably take the theming and the framework and run with it, as opposed to even if you were to like do the updated, like fully updated visuals, do new textures, like do new models, like. I don't know. I've watched gameplay videos of it. It's like, I see why people thought like this squad-based combat was really cool at the time and novel, especially on console. But I don't know that any of that stuff like feels novel,
right?
These days.
This also came out in 2004, which is before the Clone Wars cartoon started. The much loved 7-season long one that you can find Rob and I talking about at patreon.com/civilized. None of those, they can't reference any of that stuff. Like in terms of the work that was done there on what clone shit was in Star Wars just can't be touched by this because it didn't exist yet. And so they're just pulling off of like the movie clones, presumably.
Well, and so there's also, if you are now used to the Clone Wars cartoon where all the clone voices are voiced by the same voice actor.
Right.
Here, they are very much doing the traditional video game squad.
Is it like Call of Duty squad? Is it like Heavy and then, I mean, not Heavy the clone, but like,
yes.
Yeah.
Scorch, get over here. But like, so your guy,
sure.
when your clone speaks, it sounds like somebody doing a like impression of Morrison, right?
Right. Okay. Sure.
But your buddy Scorch, who's the Heavy, is like a cowboy. He's just like, woo, hey, you want a big explosion or a little explosion? And right. I'm like, I'm sorry. That's not how clones talk. Like, this is historically inaccurate. I don't
this is a legend. This is a Legends game now, which means in the legend, this one talked like a cowboy for some reason.
Again, so reading the Wikipedia, they made some of this canon in the Clone Wars show, though. Like, Delta
really?
Squad
That's fun.
Is like, I guess Filoni was a fan of the game, and Delta Squad makes a brief appearance in Witches of the Mist, a season 3 episode of the anime
Let's
series.
fucking go! Let's go! I can't wait. We're like a year away from that. We're gonna get there. They got witches. I know where there's some witches in the Star Wars universe. Who could it be?
This was Xbox only. Xbox.
Yeah, I also thought it came to game. You said GameCube.
In my head, I imagined it came to GameCube, but I am wrong. It never came to GameCube. This was.
It looks like it could have.
Yeah. Or like at some point, like 2 years later, they do an updated edition that came to with like an extra multiplayer level or whatever. And no, it was Xbox.
To be fair, the GameCube feels like a real Star Wars. like extended universe console. I Bounty Hunter was definitely available on Clone War or on GameCube. They definitely had like the Rogue Squadron follow up, or the Rogue Squadron was the follow up to the original N64.
Yes, I believe so.
Rogue. I guess no, Rogue Squadron.
Was that Shadow of the Empire? Did Rogue Squadron combo off Shadow of the Empire?
Not really.
There are two Rogues.
What's the other? There's another Rogue series, isn't there? Am I wrong about this?
I think there are 2 Rogue games.
There's 3 Rogue games, and there's another like Jedi Starfighter, but I think it's a different series.
Wars
Maybe
X-Wing Rogue Squadron. That's a book.
I think that's a book.
Yeah,
that's a
no.
book. We can't go down this road.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a shame. I'm bummed that it's not doing it for you.
Well, I've never played this game either, but now it sounds like I could just keep waiting and just hope that they revive. Now that Disney has sort of realized, like, don't let EA just make a Star Wars game and cancel it. Maybe other people should make it
Maybe
too.
Zynga can get in on this action.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. I think there's reason to think that they would eventually, like, they know the Republic Commando has enough of a following they would make a splash if.
They're launching Bad Batch this year. In less than a month, a sort of one of the many follow-ups to the Clone Wars. I'm surprised if that does well, I can imagine that becoming a Republic Commando style game. Rob, you're going to say something else?
No, I was just going to say, Patrick, I don't think if you aren't keenly interested in like playing a Clone Wars game, I don't see that this feels so much like a Halo 1 era game inspired by Halo 1, and playing it, like playing, an hour of this, I'm like, I'll bet Reach or ODST is cool.
Right.
Like if I want to play like the war movie version of Halo, where it's like a bit more about a squad and a group of dudes like fighting in a war, I would probably play the other Halo games that did that rather than this kind of like off-brand imitation that I'm not even sure I've seen it do a whole lot interesting with the squad control mechanics. Right now, it's very much like it's kind of obvious how you use these guys. So it's, if you see a nail, you got your guy who's the hammer. If you see lock, you got your guy who's the lockpick. It's kind of dull that way.
I feel like ODST is a distinctly Rob Zachney game. I feel like we should send Rob further back, all the way to ODST.
ODST is a good chance is my favorite Halo game, other than Halo 1, maybe. That jazzy soundtrack.
Yeah, this is the thing is like if you're primarily a single player Halo player, then ODST does a lot in terms of what I don't know. The Halo games all have really good level design. Halo 1 still has just like incredible level design. So I don't want to take away from that.
But Reach like changed up the base mechanics in a way that like made playing it feel more like dangerous as like the player. Like you were actually in more mortal danger than, you were playing as Master Chief. Yeah.
ODST's on PC now, right?
Yeah, it's on everything now. They've spent like a decade fixing that broken collection. Now it's like one of the better. Apparently, it's like an amazing purchase now. So, or a Game Pass thing. I guess.
Yeah, it's Game Pass.
Damn right, sure. I can just hit download on that right now. I'll be playing that by the time I'm done. So
you can download ODST and not play it. That's like the beauty of Game Pass.
That's Game Pass. Let me open up Game Pass really quick and see. Let's see here. Wilmot's Warehouse. Monster Sanctuary, Unto the End. All these are games I've launched once.
Hey guys, I installed Octopath Traveler, and someday I might launch it.
You're good.
It's good.
It looks pretty.
I played like a solid 12 hours of it before I realized there wasn't a story, and I was fine not playing any more of it.
Yeah.
Hey, there's 8 stories. They just never interact. They just never cross over.
Or tell a story.
Yeah.
It's an anthology.
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, this is Rob. I made the same pitch to myself for 12 hours and enjoyed that 12 hours. I finished the first ring of stories. I was like, all right.
Me too.
Sure.
Good luck to these people. I hope their lives like go well. I'm glad I could pass through them very briefly. It's like a summer camp type situation. Never gonna see y'all again. Give me your phone number. I'll call.
Brunch? Oh yeah, I love brunch.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, we haven't seen each other in ages. We should hang out.
Okay, I just building off this briefly. I swear, briefly. I'm in season 5 of Riverdale.
Good.
And I just need to voice a complaint.
This is the time jump.
This is the time. Well, so
okay.
Yes, the time jump happens mid season 5.
Well, beginning of season 5.
I mean, but like 4 episodes in, Cado.
Well, those last 3 episodes are the butt end of the other season.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID, yes.
Presumably.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, it's a 7-year time jump.
That's big.
Which is big.
That's just a new show.
They're bringing people from 18 to 25. All the characters go off. One of them joins the army. One of them becomes like a Wall Street trader.
Quick question.
One of them
Yes.
I'm sorry, not because we do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really saying that Archie fought a war on the Riverdale football field?
No, that's a trauma dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no invasion that he helps fight off or anything like that. That's him dreaming about Riverdale and his war experiences.
The communists have not invaded.
No, it's not Homefront, the Revolution, Freedom Fighters. It's not one of those. No, I almost wish, because I just would love to see that train crash. Now, in the previous season, a major character dies at the very beginning of the season because the actor had passed. Pour one out for Luke Perry, who did an incredible job on that show.
One could argue the show was significantly worse post his departure.
Oh yeah, he was glue holding it together in many ways. I think they appropriately had Archie spin off in a nightmare direction since then. He's just like deeply directionless, and this is how he ends up going to the army eventually. Is like, oh, you don't fit into anyone else's life anymore, dude. And you made a bad decision to join the army in this case. Because you actually are surrounded by people who love and support you, and if you knew how to reach out for any of that, you'd be in a much better place. Anyway, in the episode where Archie's dad dies, or Luke Perry, there's those kind of in memoriam episode for Luke Perry. Luke Perry's character gets a gravestone that says he died in 2019. Presumably the rest of that season is 2019, 2020. After the 7-year time jump, there is a bit where a character says, something it's 2021. Now, how was there a 7-year time skip when the previous season, the events of which ended this season, happened in 2019, 2020? Why not just not include a line that says it's 2021?
Honestly, this happens at the role-playing table where you you refer to a day, you're just in the moment. You're like, I'm just going to write what I would say at this moment.
Rob, real quick, big difference between the role-playing table and Riverdale. The Riverdale has millions of dollars and is pre-shot and pre-written. Just don't have Kevin McAllister or whatever. His name's like Kevin McAllister. Kevin McAllister is the guy from Home Alone, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
It's sloppy.
What's Kevin's name in Riverdale? Riverdale Kevin. Oh, Kevin Keller, because his dad is the sheriff. Yeah.
I haven't seen Sheriff Keller in a minute.
He shows up in this season. He's around again. He's around again. Anyway, you can't do a 7-year time jump in the period of a year. It doesn't. Also, last season they had the characters sing a song that opened with them saying that they were Gen Z, which now the math on that is very tenuous in multiple directions.
Their musical episodes have never been as strong as they think they are.
No, wait, that song's about being Gen X.
It is about being Gen X, but at the beginning of it, Kevin McAllister, aka Kevin Keller, says, we're Gen Z. It's a Hedwig and the Angry Inch song. It's very much about being Gen X.
Right.
Anyway, that's my Riverdale update. I said I'd get caught up, and I'm getting caught up.
I think the tombstone isn't real in fiction. Because no,
it is.
That's the real.
There's also another one that I didn't want to spoil, but there's another character who is extremely real in fiction. It also says 2019.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it's one that has some spray paint on it.
Yeah, no, okay, well that fucks everything. Never mind.
Also,
I was thinking they just didn't want to put a false date for respect or something of Luke Perry's.
I see what you're saying.
But,
yeah. That would be my feel.
But if it's also on
the other guy's name, yeah, you know who it is.
God damn it,
that boy got. Anyway,
maybe they realized also they're like, if we actually say it's years in the future, we can't do near future. We have no vision of like now. I would actually be really into like a Minority Report style take on Riverdale, where it's like, "Hi, Archie Andrews. We noticed you haven't been to Guitar Center in a while," and like that would be cool.
That would be very funny to me. Yeah, I love that. That's very good. Anyway, that's my Riverdale minute. Just as relevant as Dong's Royal Conqueror 2019. I really wanted to front load this with things that are not hyper relevant.
I played. We're gonna do a break first.
Let's take a break. We'll come back on you having a thing that's genuinely.
I got some new stuff. Yeah.
All right. BRB. We're back. Also, I have newer stuff. I just wanted to share the important stuff.
Sure.
Like Republic Commando and Riverdale.
Yeah, look, we have read Vice's SEO reports. They have told us like, hey, actually, one, people love long podcasts. They love to listen to the end, and then you should definitely like bury the topical
good
stuff. Because then when you write the blog post that Cado works on, he's gonna put that at the top. He's like, this is the new stuff. We're talking about it. But then you want them to earn it and get it like 45 minutes into the podcast.
That's right. We only want listeners who feel like they've earned it. You know, who put up with us at our fucking worst.
Tootsie Pop of gaming podcasts.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I like a Tootsie Pop. I know people don't like those.
I don't like them.
Who doesn't like them?
People.
This is what I'm saying. People don't like them.
But I don't know that I don't actively hate them the way I like loathe the Peep though. Like Tootsie Roll
I
is
also
more.
love the Peep.
It's like my Jessica loves Tootsie Rolls. She'll just sit and like at Halloween. She's like, here's 10 of them. Time to fuck my stomach up. And I'm like, she's like, you want one? I'm like, all right. That's not. I want to encourage you to share. I will. Yeah. I will eat this.
You don't want to be like, no, that shit's gross.
And I don't want another one. Like I've had the one Tootsie Roll and I'm like, see you next October. I'm sad.
I think as long as you
Peep,
get
I don't want anything to do with.
Yeah, I don't want. Do you see y'all saw the Peep Pepsi, the Peepsy, Peep flavored Pepsi?
I feel like I saw it on scroll through Twitter, but I didn't engage.
I haven't seen it in real life. I don't know that it
I still
actually
haven't
exists.
seen that fucking coffee Coke.
The coffee Coke.
Is
I
it
can't find
real?
it anywhere.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think it
real.
exists.
I just want to Tootsie Pop. I think it has good flavors.
Me too.
Like,
I think the
taste good.
cherry, the grape, those are good flavors.
The chocolate flavored one is legitimately tasty. I like it.
This is the one I can't go down the. I'll eat one, but I would always be like, I wish this had like the bright color flavor of one of the ones that are more brightly colored.
Like the blueberry.
Anyway,
the
blueberries. Wait, is it blueberry?
I always assume
blue.
blue things are just blueberry.
Blue is just a flavor.
Blue raspberry.
Yeah, it's blue.
It's blue.
Maybe it's blue raspberry.
It's blue flavor. But they always attach a fruit that it tastes nothing like.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, they do make the blue raspberry ones.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Those are good. Anyway, Patrick, you have something relevant.
Well, yeah, last night I downloaded the new Pac-Man 99, I think it's called.
What?
I think don't tell Nintendo what to do because they don't give a shit. But like if I were Nintendo, I would probably find a way to dispel people's fears over like the disappearance of a game that people really liked playing, such as like the Mario Battle Royale game, and say, hey, actually this is going to be a regular thing that we're doing where we're going to partner and create kind of multiplayer centric nostalgia, because that seems cool. Like the idea that you could look forward to a new take on something like that every, I don't know, 4 or 5 months would be makes sense, would also why you would rotate an audience that when instead it's just no, we're killing that shit, and then the day before it comes out we're just surprise announcing Pac-Man 99. So yeah, this is a very similar setup if you play Tetris 99 or the Mario one, in which
is Tetris 99 gone now too, or
no?
Tetris
Tetris 99 has just stuck around. That is still playable. I know that because like I feel like every 2 weeks I get a press release from Nintendo that's like, we've done another brand crossover with Tetris, and that may just. My guess is that Pac-Man 99 will also stick around, and Mario just disappeared because Nintendo decided it needed to murder its IP. Right. And these third parties will actually let them stick around for a little while longer. But a similar sort of setup in which you have in the center of the screen, you have the base game. And so like a very normal looking Pac-Man board when the game boots up. And surrounding you are 99, I guess it's 99 players total, right? So 98 tiles of other people who are playing Pac-Man in like very condensed form that you're not going to be looking at that, but you know that that's being tracked in real time by the game as other people are playing, and you can mess with various settings. Like as you're performing well in the game, you can be sending like in Tetris you're sending trash blocks, in Mario you're sending enemies, in here you're sending enemies. I've not fully grokked. Like, there's not a tutorial. Like, I fully understood the mechanics of what's occurring necessarily in Pac-Man 99. But like the motions of it are you're playing a Pac-Man game. You are gobbling up small dots. There are big flashing dots. When you eat those, then the ghosts who are on the screen, you can eat them. And as you're doing that, you're sending stuff to other screens and people are dying, and then it whittles it down to the last one remaining. And a lot of what's happening in Pac-Man 99 is just like a broader resource management thing. So it's like as things are coming in, you're much more conscious of like, when should I get that power pellet? When should I be leaving that power pellet in the corner to go grab it? And then now the fruit that appears on the screen every once in a while, that refreshes the screen. And so you're choosing when to refresh that screen for yourself. I don't know if the fruit disappears on a timer in the way that it does in regular Pac-Man, where you'd be going for a score. My guess is that it does, because you would get punished if you're not like sort of like managing the loop properly. But that's essentially like kind of what the rhythm of a round becomes, is you looking at the board in terms of like what you want to accomplish relative to what's being sent your way, and then using the fruit to reset that board so you can kind of like begin the loop all over again. Right. And it's frantic and weird. I frankly prefer that if we're going to revisit Pac-Man and pay $3.99 a month for the privilege to play it exclusively on Nintendo's online service, that it's something like this as opposed to just. I mean, I love Pac-Man Championship edition, but even that is is recontextualizing Pac-Man to some degree, and so. This seems great. People have liked every one of these. I usually burn out on them pretty quickly. Like, I find them novel. And then if we were doing streams, I would play a lot of this. Like, it would be a really fun thing to do with an audience. Or even like around people. Like, if we were all sitting around, like, playing Pac-Man 99 together. Like, that
go up.
Right.
Yeah, well, you can do private matches,
Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah.
I don't know exactly how that works. My guess is you can, like, invite a group of people and then fill it with the rest of that, or maybe you give a code out and then like you can do it on a stream. I don't know exactly how that works, but I can imagine really enjoying this in a different context. But like me sitting around, like I've got an hour to play a game. Like I once I get past the novelty of it, I'm good. And my guess is it'll be the same thing here.
This Pac-Man feels like a game whose average like screen completion is a lot lower than the other things that they've done this with. Like, I feel like more people that start playing, just like pick up casually play Tetris or Mario, will get further than you go out to a Pac-Man machine. So I was wondering whether or not, like, how does difficulty just ramp based only on what other people are doing to you, or do you ever actually like cross over into other screens and stuff?
That's the thing. Yeah, are there other screens?
No, I don't. It's at least in like the 4 or 5 rounds that I played, as far as I know, it was the same basic map. Like, it wasn't it wasn't like switching over to a different color scheme or a different layout. I think largely because that, I guess unless everyone was moving over on a time, like on a time signature, it's like, all right, after 60 seconds we're moving. Or if some player could trigger something that would like force the board to move, but I don't see anything, because the board itself is changing so frequently due to the interactions of other players, where you're getting. Again, I'm not entirely sure what players you're sending, but you have like the mechanics. Okay,
I can talk through some of that stuff. I've watched some of it, and I read the press release and looked at some stuff. So the main thing that you're sending over are these like ghost Pac-Men. They're like they're outlines
they slow
of Pac-Man.
you down. So if you walk, if you go over them when you have not eaten a power pellet, it just like it's like a zombie dragging you. And so if you've got a ghost chasing after you, and if you just hit one of these sort of like ghostly Pac-Man, you're fine. You can kind of get through it. But there are sequences where there's like 12 of them, and you're just stuck. Like you're done.
So the way that gets sent is for every ghost you eat, you send one over. And there are ghosts. There are outlines of ghosts that show up in the kind of vertical highways on the side of the board.
Yes.
And if you get those, it adds those ghosts to the back of one of your ghosts. Your actual ghosts wandering around on your board, which gives you the ability to power pellet up and then eat like 10 ghosts and send those somewhere.
Gotcha.
So that's like that's the back and forth of it a little bit. I'm also just flipping through people playing it on Twitch right now and just saw someone playing it like speed 5, which must be like towards the end of a really competitive game because it was going incredibly fast. It felt like watching high-end Tetris in some ways. I'm just like, oh my God, how are you making these decisions this quick?
Well, you're not. Like the highest I ranked was I got like 5th in a round, and I just made a left turn into a pink ghost, not because I like thought anything through. It was just like, whoops, that pink ghost is there. Round over.
I also just saw there's red Pac-Man outlines that can show up, and those will just kill you. Those seem like they're just like traps waiting to just instant kill you if you run into those. So that's no good.
Yeah,
be careful of those.
It's neat.
It seems neat.
It's super cool. Like I think it's a nifty. There aren't a ton of reasons to pay for Nintendo Switch Online, right? Like you need it to play multiplayer in certain games. You could get access to a trash nostalgia service that is like never updated.
That's not true. They put like 3 games I'd never heard of on there last month, which I appreciate them putting weird stuff on there. I just wish it happened more often.
They are just so clearly Nintendo does not want to do what Microsoft is doing, which is pay money for games to appear on the service, right? Like I don't blame Square necessarily for like, why would we put Chrono Trigger here? Like we would rather you just buy it on the Switch. I mean, what Nintendo used to do is say, yeah, we'll just cover X amount of sales, like because we want, you know what I mean? Like it's not hard to imagine how that deal happens. Nintendo is just like, no, would you rather we just like localize this strange like 2D platformer from
like I have no,
which is cool. Like they're Psycho Break or like there was one of
Psycho
those
Dream, Prehistoric Man, and Doomsday Warrior, and Fire and Ice. Like I'm no Frank Cifaldi, but I never heard of any of those.
Well, Psycho Break like had never come out here before. It was a game. I was trying to do a story on it. I was trying to track down the designer because the game was really interesting looking, and it was a game that this happened more frequently in the like the 16 and 8-bit era, where games would get advertised because advertisements had to be placed so far in advance, but then the games wouldn't be released. And so Psycho Dream was coming over here and was shown, and to the point that it was reviewed in EGM. Like there was a review of the American version in EGM, and then for the like there was a like an acquisition, bankruptcy, yada yada yada, financial stuff happened, and that game never came out. And so there was like a really interesting story.
That's funny.
And so it's like it's cool that like Nintendo,
yes,
if they were picking that because hey, there's a rich history back in an era when a lot of Japanese games didn't come. There was no guarantee they would come to outside of Japan. Whereas these days it's like it's rare, and if they don't come, some fan will localize it and figure it out.
You see, there are 2 different Mizurna Falls fan translations dropped in the last month.
I don't think it's a different. It's the same translation. It's an updated patch. So go back and read. We have there was an excellent story we did a couple years ago about Mizurna Falls, which is a PS1 like open world Twin Peaks, like pre GTA 3. There's a great piece about some of the original people that worked on that, and then I did a follow-up piece that was about there was some drama in the community related to its like patching and like how it was being handled. And then
are they also using the Resident Evil patch?
Yes, and so the most recent update that makes it like completely playable for without a lot of hoops to jump through and worrying about crashes and things of that nature was actually done by the same programmer, translator that I did a long feature about the one Fire Emblem game that had not been localized for Thesis, or I forget what the
classic Patrick Klepek.
Yes,
one person,
3,500 words about a fan localizer working for years. Yeah, no, that's my thing. Put it on my gravestone.
Real caught you in 4K moments.
So that person worked on the patch for this updated Mizurna Falls, and that is also a game that I don't want to sit and play by myself, but boy, we need to do a stream again because I want to sit and play that game on a stream because that would be a blast.
Oh, I really want to see that game so bad. Anyway, Nintendo Switch Online. I do like that there are obscure games on it.
Yeah.
I just wish that we were back in the glorious heyday of the Nintendo Wii Wednesday drop of
just tons of stuff.
Yeah. God, why am I blanking on what was it that was called now? What was the Nintendo Wii retro game thing called?
Virtual Console?
What? Virtual Console. The Virtual Console.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Cado.
Great name. Great branding, too.
Right?
Virtual Console just sounds cool.
You think we'll ever get the beauty of a Nintendo shop music
They
again?
seem to have left that aesthetic behind. And
they should go back to it.
I mean, I love the Switch UI.
Me too.
All the sound effects are.
But what if when you open the shop, it played a little tune,
I'm
a little bossa nova beat?
Give me the option. If they would just say, hey, look, you want to deep in the advanced settings of, or if there's just a cheat code in the eShop that can turn that on, I do it every time.
They don't even have to make anything new. Just put the fucking eShop music on it.
They should just rotate past eShop music from various platforms.
Yes.
Is that
you know what? Look, give me that would be an incentive to continue my Nintendo Switch Online membership. Is hey, when you're in the commerce store engaging in capitalism, you can enter a cheat code to listen to the Virtual Console or eShop music. I was I would do it. I'm right here. I'm ready. Get too mellow to do some remixes.
Yeah, it's just so good. Oh fuck! All right. Anyone else play anything they want to talk about? Cado, what are you up to? You still on that Monster Hunter grind? Branching out?
I did a couple things. Monster Hunter. I actually downloaded and played the Outriders demo since that's just the beginning of that game. Finally, the Technomancer is the worst class to start someone out on that game.
Oh, really? See, I've heard Pyromancer is Pyro.
I think Pyromancer might be second worst, but it's if we're going from worst to best, it's Technomancer, then a million spaces or whatever, and then Pyromancer, and then the other two are kind of the same. Not the same, but very
Devastator
and Trickster, the one that you the Trickster is fucking should be
great.
The one they force everyone onto to sell them on the game because it's fucking good.
It's so good.
It comes with comes with a built-in combo, right? You teleport, you slow, then you slash through everyone, and they're all fucking dead, and then everyone around you that's trying to shoot you, all their bullets get slowed.
The slow shield that the Trickster has is just sick.
It's very
anytime
good.
you see. Just wait until you end up fighting people who have mortar launchers. So there's an enemy boss class that can shoot a huge AoE of mortars that come down, and it gets caught in your time bubble, and it's just slowly crossing down towards the ground as you're headshotting people, and it feels good. It feels good. I played a bunch more of that too, Cado.
I think the issue with Technomancer is that it's just a base damage over. Any damage heals you, which is okay, you have a turret, you put it down, and the damage that it does will also heal you. But it feels you don't have.
Oh, is it just any?
Yeah, okay. including your summon, including your little turrets and stuff,
your pets,
whatever they are. But they don't shoot super quick, and if someone runs up on you, you've basically got nothing except whatever your gun is, and that's fine. Sure. But in some situations, you're gonna get run down if you didn't position yourself really well. You have a grenade, which you can actually kind of place as a trap. So it's very much you want to
Okay, I see. It sticks.
It'll stick to the ground and it'll stay until someone
okay.
walks over it. And then you have your turret, and like the idea is definitely more like you want to set those up in choke points, and you want to sit back and like pick off people.
Which is also
from
just
afar.
not a fun way of playing.
It's not great. Like
that's very useful in multiplayer,
right?
But probably not so much in
as a solo.
Yeah.
I went through all the beginning with all of the classes, and it was definitely the hardest one to like stay alive with like solo. The other ones all like the I think Pyromancer's a little trickier just because it's like things have to die while they're marked, which is while they're like on fire. So it's like a little bit of a timing thing, but I think it's actually when it works out, it's like it works out really well. And like your second ability is a straight up heal. It's a little harder for bosses because it's like you only get the health back on death while they're burning. So I think that's probably where people like say like the it's harder because I feel like Technomancer did better on a boss when it's like just a single like beefy enemy, because that turret's just going to be pecking
all your
at them.
turrets are just hitting. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
But I feel like if you're just throwing someone into show this game, which is what happened when I did the preview for this game, it was the Technomancer. It was like I am being bum rushed by a million different fucking enemies all at once, and I can't keep them away. They're out damaging what I'm self healing, and also I was still trying to use cover because they also didn't do the thing where it's like you shouldn't be using cover as much, or if you're gonna use cover, you have to use it in a very, very specific way. And so I am coming around a lot on this game. Which is surprising because the story fucking sucks. Like
it's rough.
It's very rough.
I'm pretty far into it now. Yeah, but like I realized I was talking to a friend of mine about this game, who had a really bad first day with it, and I was like, try to get through to a certain point, basically, basically the point at which like you start to build a character, which we talked about on Monday's episode, and then like the next night he messaged me and was like, oh, this is a Diablo. Now I understand how to engage with this. And I know people like the Diablo story. I know there are people out there who are like deep in the Diablo fandom who care about that stuff. Right. But I've never engaged with any game like that in that way. Right. Except for Phantasy Star Online, Justice for Red Ring Rico. And normally it's just like the numbers go up. I found cool loot. I'm building something. I'm figuring out a way to make these abilities interact. And at that level, I still think that game just does a really good job of that. And
I haven't engaged too much with the like kind of loot loops yet.
The huge skill tree also. Sure.
I'm looking at that skill tree and already planning paths, which is a good sign of like, oh, I know I want to go for this. Like I can see where these things are starting to connect.
Well, and again, the thing that makes it a good loot game is the thing of getting a piece of loot that then changes that thing you thought you had planned. Right. Where you're like, oh shit, wait a second, and that's really fun.
I feel like I either missed a tutorial or something, but there's something called like weapon leech and like skill leech that they haven't explained, but it feels important.
It's bad about that. Yeah, I ended up looking that up. Weapon leech is straight up. You heal yourself based on how high your weapon leech is, based on weapons, and skill leech is the same thing.
But for skills,
and I think but for skill attacks,
So heal on skill damage.
Heal on skill damage, correct.
Not cooldown reduction. I assumed it was cooldown reduction, and I was like, this doesn't seem to be doing anything. Heal. It's like, it's heal, okay. I was already getting like healed up from hitting my abilities at the right time, so I like didn't notice if it was healing even more, honestly. So that might be like a higher end like
it introduces a bunch of fucking weird. It does introduce a bunch of weird math, right? Where it's like, okay, this gun does 100 damage and has a 10% skill leech or weapon leech, versus this gun does 200 damage and has an 8% weapon leech,
right?
Which is better. And the answer is the 200 damage one, because that math just works out. But that's very simple math I just gave you. When that math is like, this gun does 754 and has 2.8 weapon leech,
right?
And this gun does 800 damage but has 2.6 weapon leech. You're like, okay, well. Which one do I like using more?
Right.
It's close enough.
Right. Yeah,
right?
Totally.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that you're digging into that. I hope if you end up playing it, let me know. I'll definitely hop in with you and fuck around for sure.
Yeah, I think given how I had so much fun as both the Trickster and the Devastator, just because like you're not fucking around with the weapon system, with the cover system at all of those classes, and it really shines in those moments of just like, no, you're gonna get up in people's face, you might get hurt a bit, but don't worry, you're gonna be healed in a second. Just kill them. Just kill them, you got it. And they give you the tools to do that, and it feels good. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna try to stick with it for a bit. It's like that's what I was trying to say. Is like the story is rote, but still not boring enough to make me fully drop off yet. You know?
Yeah. There's some, I had another big boss fight against a big alien monster thing a little bit further in the game, and that was not particularly good. Like I'm glad when they're just doing, here is a cool level design that emphasizes the sense of like frenetic running around trying to keep everything, trying to juggle everything, versus the bits where it's like the handful of bits where they try to do something else. Like when they're doing it that way, it's going pretty well. So also briefly, I want to shout out another thing I actually played, which is called Aron's Adventure, ARONS Adventure, ARON apostrophe S, like Aron as a person. It is a, God, how do I guess it's like an open world adventure game, like action adventure RPG. I guess like an action RPG, that has this very simplistic, low poly, like character design style. I'll put a trailer in the chat for y'all. Does this have any gameplay? Yeah, it does. Where it's like, very hyper, stylized, but like polygonal faces with just like a smile drawn on. And then it's like mouse and keyboard combat. I tried playing with the controller. I don't think the controls work very well at all, but it's like you're going from like one open world like hub area to another, and it's like a small team decided to try to make a big open world game, basically. And there are like some cool abilities. You have like a bow and then a melee weapon, and there's like stealth kills. It feels so much like a group of people said, I have no idea how big the team is, but it feels like a group of people were like, we could make a Shadow of Mordor. I mean, not with the Shadow of Mordor system, but that style of just, this is an open world action RPG where you're climbing some things and solving puzzles and, collecting things and seeing the story via weird open world, like rift flashback things where you're seeing like projections from past characters doing things. I'm not giving this a hard sell because I'm so early into it that I don't want to give it a hard sell and just do the Austin Walker, like, you should play this game because it's like $30. But it's one of those things where I was like, I'll give this a shot. I saw it on Steam. I bought it. This is a game that I have not gotten a single press release for, and I like to buy games like that sometimes just because I know that the devs didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't cross my path.
Just going on the Steam, like new releases, see what's out, and be like, this looks like very ambitious for a Steam new release, that from a team that I've never heard of. Feature. File that one away, Austin. It's like looking at the Steam new release list. Like, let's check out. Let's just determine what's interesting. That's good.
Yeah, well, this is apparently a developer from the Netherlands. I clicked on the name for the company, and it might just be like a one or two or small person game. I guess there's a soundtrack, there's voice acting, so it is not just a one person thing. This dude did not do all of the voices, but the voices sound extremely. And again, I mean this in a way that is complimentary. They feel very amateurish. They feel very like, I've hired a bunch of people who want to be voice actors to like come in and do that. And I think it's just like a kind of a charming game. I think it's kind of janky in terms of the way some of the movement feels and the way the summoning a horse, and the horse jump is extremely, you were on the ground, you are now 10 feet in the air on your horse. But I think that like the visual style, which has this sort of, God, what's it remind me of? It reminds me of, there was a game that came out a few years ago by Harebrained Schemes called Necropolis that had a sort of similar vibe. It's like N6. You know what this game feels like? This game feels like you went to Blockbuster and you're like, I want to play a new game for N64, and you found some action RPG you'd never heard of before, and you brought it home, and you're like, huh, yeah, okay, that was an all right 3 days. I'm not buying that. This is too much. I'm not gonna, but that's how it feels, and I've been kind of again charmed by it. So
Quest 64.
I'm gonna keep a little Quest 64 action. I thought someone do a Quest 64 speed run last year. That was fun. So yeah, that's Aron's adventure, ARONS adventure. Shout outs to that game.
I played most of something pretty short last night called Before Your Eyes, which is a new indie game that's been on my radar for a couple of weeks. I saw that I got the trailer like a month ago, and it was like, sad, sappy music, cool looking art style, like images of like a funeral and babies. And I was like, oh, like this seems like I'm going to cry playing this game. Let's go. Like, I'm ready. I haven't done this in a while. And the mechanic of it is kind of fascinating. I don't know that it entirely works, but I think it's an interesting experiment. But it's called Before Your Eyes, the idea being that, life just, not flashes before your eyes, when you're dying, but like goes by in an instant. You blink and you'll miss it. And quite literally, it's a game that uses your webcam, and there are mechanics tied to you, the player, blinking. And there's a way to turn that off if you don't want to engage with that mechanic. I don't know how it works, so my guess is you're just like clicking a mouse to push forward. But it's really encouraged that you like engage with the game in that way, because it's interesting. So you don't move around. You can look around with the mouse, but as you look around, there are the way it plays with your eyes is so when you'll see like an eye like UI bit in the corner, and it's like, oh, that's an object I can interact with. So you'll mouse over, get the cursor on it and blink, and that might trigger like a little bit more light in the room. You can see an object that might trigger a line being said by one of the characters. The general like narrative thrust of Before Your Eyes is that you like start out as a baby, and then you like grow up, and you're experiencing your life in sort of like different fragments, and the time jumps occur as you blink. The game communicates like when this is going to happen. There's sort of like there's like a little icon that appears at the bottom. Like, what's that thing like when you're playing like a piano and it goes like back and forth, like doot doot.
Metronome.
Metronome? Yeah, metronome.
So like if you're in a moment you're really enjoying, if you blink, you literally miss it. Like if you're like,
yes,
I want to stay in this moment of the memory.
That's fascinating.
Yes, and so what ends up happening is you have, if you're paying close attention, you will see like the metronome appear. And when the metronome appears, the next time you blink, the sequence just ends and you move on to the next one. And it plays with you in that regard, where there will be, let's say, you will see that metronome appear and a character is mid-sentence. And if you want to, I think the game wants you to just blink naturally and move on.
Yeah, of course.
But it's also, there are other lines. Like there's one sequence where you're like paging through a book, and that metronome appears, boom, like that. And you haven't done it. Like there was a line of dialogue, but there are like pictures that you can engage with. And there'll be an extra line of conversation that occurs. And so what happens is you're looking at the screen, not blinking, moving the mouse over, then purposely blinking on top of the icon to trigger it, not blinking because you've now returned to metronome mode, and then trying to move the mouse over to the area where you can engage with the second object. None of that stuff feels required. Cado has posted the strained teenager meme, and they're with the veins popping out of their head. And so I kind of had to drop that. What I was doing at first was like, okay, this is uncomfortable. It's making it more difficult to engage with the narrative, and like I don't really enjoy bulging my eyes out attempting to see these other sequences.
To game it, yeah.
To game it. so I sort of just stopped that and was like, all right, I'm just going to blink normally, and if I miss things, I miss things, because it seems like the game is designed around that, and that I am sure they have front loaded. Like the metronome isn't just there the moment you're in a sequence. It is triggered by the game, and so presumably, like the key narrative bits are here, and anything else is maybe not perfunctory, but is not required to understand what's going from moment.
There
to
is not a
moment.
murder mystery you'll be able to solve only if you don't blink for 4 hours.
No. But like my guess is there are achievements tied to it. My guess is there are. Other smaller things if you want to explore more about the story. There are like kind of very I guess I should rewind a little bit, which is that the basic premise of the game, yes, like you are a child experiencing their life, but the reason that's happening is because the game opens with you on a boat. There is some sort of talking wolf creature in front of you, and he claims he has plucked your soul from the water because he had a hunch that you've had an interesting life. And that in front of you is a giant tower, and there is some sort of queen that like rewards the bringing of interesting lives. Like I don't know if she's feasting on them. The claim is that you will become part of a society if your life is interesting enough, and if not, I guess your soul is just tossed back into the riverbank. And you
better keep your eyes open. You better show this motherfucker the interesting parts.
And so he's betting on you that you are going to have an interesting life, and that's how he introduces like the blinking mechanic. And then you don't spend a bunch of time with him. You are spending the vast majority of the game, which I played like 10 of 12 chapters last night. I kind of have to do the ending is the one bit that I need to do. And the vast majority of the game is spent in these sort of, these little narrative snippets where you're experiencing what happened in your life, your relationship with your parents. It is a game that's like trying to, I think it tells a pretty interesting story. That said, like because of like the way you engage with it, I found myself disengaged from the story because I became like so acutely aware like of what I'm doing with my eyes. That said, it's like I love games with like gimmicky mechanics. That's why I was a big proponent of the Wii early on, and like was like really interested in what like virtual reality can do for storytelling. And so I don't know. I enjoyed my time with this. It didn't blow me away, but I found like this neat way of engaging with the story to be like really cool and different. So that's Before Your Eyes. It's out now on PC. I can't imagine it would come to other. I don't know if they're gonna like on PlayStation Eye. I don't think it can detect you from across the room.
No,
and it does do a good job. They have a really good like sensitivity tutorial, which is kind of fun. Where the way it works is like, hey, let's see. We don't know what kind of webcam you have, like what the sensitivity is, what kind of the lighting is in the room, and so it says like, hey, just start blinking, and it's gonna fill these circles at the bottom, and then you tell the game like how many of those blinks were actual blinks, and how many of them were like you were just like moving your eyes and the camera got it wrong. And like the first time, anytime I stretched my eyes, which I found myself consciously doing after a blink because I was doing the blinks on purpose to trigger the sensitivity. And then once I dialed it back once, it like straight up got every single blink. But there are some amazing moments where like there's like something touching happening and I forgot that I blinked and then it's just gone. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, that's really good. That's
damn,
great.
like
I love
you got
that.
the game, like, and it never. They always introduce the metronome mid sentence. It is never like, hey, you've seen the end of it. Like, here's a second for you to explore. Don't screw it up. It's like your mother. The arc without getting into the finer details is your mother was like she always wanted to be an artist, a pianist, and compose her own music. Never was able to get discovered, but she was really talented. And then her inability to make a life around that talent has, let's say, become the thrust of how she wants to raise her child, and the complications of that. And that's sort of the narrative arc of the game. But there'll all be all these sequences where it's like, mom's saying something, or like your first love is saying something, and then like boom, you accidentally blink and it just off to the next thing. So it's neat. And given that it's not much of a huge time lift, I can't imagine it's more than another 15, 20 minutes in the game. So yeah, that's before your eyes, and it's out on PC now. I guess they could do it on phones, right? Like all the phones have cameras, so I could see them doing that at some point.
They could do that. Cool. I'm gonna check that out. That sounds really good.
It's neat.
Anything else? Anyone? Are you still keeping up with Cozy Grove, by the way? Because that just hit. Like,
I'm not.
PC and stuff. Are you done? Are you out?
I made it about a week into Cozy Grove, and then I don't know. So it's hard for me to speak to whether like is the problem Cozy Grove, is the problem me. I'm aware of like the fact that Animal Crossing style games, like sort of like lifestyle sims, don't do a ton for me. My thought was that Cozy Grove, with the narrative hooks and the fact that it's like, hey, come here for 20 minutes. Leave, come back the next day, that might be enough to get me into it. And I loved the art style, but like most, at least in like the, I don't know, 6 hours or so that I played over the course of 2 weeks, every quest was like, hey man, can't find this cone, could you go find it? And it's like just aimlessly wandering the island, hoping to find it behind a tree, not wanting to look anymore, and then paying someone $100 or like 100 virtual currency for them to just mark it on the map. And it ends up like unfolding a lot of that stuff really, really slowly. And I still think it's like smart. If the game hooks you, like I think it's, the idea that it has like this limited daily investment, maybe that ends up really working for you. But it also meant that like whatever story bits were there were just doled out so slowly. It's like, I need more of it. Like learning the premise of each character was cool, but it was just, I'm going to have to put in so much time every day. Not so much time, but just like, I guess time in a long span. Like, I mean, they told us in like the pitch emails, like this is a game really meant to be played weeks, months to fully experience all the character beats. And so if it works for you, great. But I was just like, there's not enough here for me. I didn't want to turn it on anymore. And the mechanics were too complex for Jessica to want to pay attention. She just liked dragging the icons out of the inventory, which infuriated me. I'm like, done. We're not doing this anymore. Like, this is not a game we could play together. And so I fell off Cozy Grove. But yeah, it just launched. I think as we're recording this, it's out on Switch and a bunch of other consoles. So it's very pretty. And if you want to experiment with it, again, Apple Arcade is now like a much more compelling service, and you only have to pay a couple of bucks. Or like if you bought a device, there's like a free trial for 30 days that you can pluck at it and see if it works for you. But no, I've left the Cozy Grove behind, but I wish the ghosts well.
Good. Before we dip into emails, Rob, do you want to hit any of these other topics on your menu?
Where are we feasting, boys?
What are we talking about? Judgment? We talking about Need for Speed?
Why Judgment? Is this just a like
that's my curious,
like Rob Game Pass Game of the Week? Like I'm gonna play an hour. I'm
Rob's curious? Game Pass Game of the Week.
Sponsored by. I'm not gonna say give me a sponsor. Let's go.
Yeah, we don't have a reach out to the sales team of Vice.
Yeah. So
come on.
I guess. I don't fully understand. Oh, and you know what I think this stems from, actually? So the other night, I was browsing the Criterion channel, as one does, and adding movies that I'm probably not going to watch before they are removed from the service.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of Japanese gangster movies on Criterion right now this month. If you want to feast on some Yakuza stories, this is your moment. And naturally, I was like, damn, I could go for that. I'm going to watch none of these. I am going to play... I don't want to play Yakuza. But Judgment.
Why didn't you want to play Yakuza? Have you gotten deep into any of the Yakuza games
I got decently far into Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
But the problem was I fell off of it while there were a lot of plot pieces juggling in the air. And so I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to have to replay it. And I'm like, there's a lot of fights at the start of that. Like, a lot of fights. And I didn't want to do that. So I went with Judgment, and I think it was a good call. Because, one, it's a different vibe than Yakuza, which I hadn't fully internalized how different it would feel. Like, Yakuza, this is not new information, but it is straddling this line between like serious gangster movie, surrealist comedy, existential character study, which is very much in the tradition of a lot of like modern Yakuza, modern being like 70s and 80s Yakuza movies. But I was looking for something maybe a little more grounded, a little more like Scorsese. And I think that's Judgment to an extent. Like Judgment has okay, I have to caveat all of this with Judgment is also very into how hot its cast of characters is. Like it is an extremely good looking game full of like good looking faces. And like there are pretty people, and then there's also just fantastic like character actor faces that are just like so memorable. And so to an extent, like a big part of this game is just like kind of enjoying the digital actors' performances and then the expressiveness of some of the faces. Nevertheless, it does have kind of a tragic sense that for all the moments where like your character is getting sort of a glory shot, there's also moments of like deep alienation and regret and just like loaded conversations with other characters that I'm a sucker for this stuff. We talked about this when the game came out, but the premise is you are not a disgraced lawyer. You are somebody who went out at the top of their game, but you got a murderer off of off their charges, and they immediately went out and like brutally killed somebody. And so
also the context is no one gets a murder off their charges. Like it's a very, you did the Phoenix Wright, impossible thing of beating a system that always wins its cases.
Well, and I kind of like too that there's this thing looming over the game where everyone's like, it's your fault this guy got off. And the case you got at the start of the game is kind of a Perry Mason in reverse thing, really. You're a lawyer. You are still a lawyer. You understand the law. You could run a legal strategy, but you're an investigator now.
Right.
And the thing you're dealing with is the police are putting together another shitty case. They are rushing to conclusions again. And like you run into the prosecutors and like, I don't know, some of them seem okay. One of them is clearly like the love interest or former love interest, but one of them is clearly a hack. And like is going to put together a shitty legal strategy. And so to an extent, like the fact that you won a trial is held against you and not against a system that is so like complacent in the way it administers justice that just like puts up bricks in terms of like felony charges. And it's like, yeah, that'll land. We win every case.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the thing I'm really getting into is it's got a lot of fun detective-y mini games, and I just enjoy how much weight of history surrounds your character and their relationships. Like everyone in this story has relationships that go back a long ways, and you're kind of picking up the action in the middle. And so there's a lot of fun watching these characters evolve and kind of watching. I don't know. It's interesting. Your character is clearly somebody who's kind of just hiding out, or trying to, and you got a lot of people in your life kind of saying like, this isn't really you, right? Like this isn't really what your calling is. And your character's like, I'm pretty sure it's my calling. I'm pretty good at this. And I'm curious which way that's going to break, but the thing it doesn't do a lot is the broad comedy that you find in Yakuza. This is much more like, there's still some comedy. There's still some great weirdness. Like you have a really, I was sort of mesmerized by this. There was an interrogation that took place outside a sushi stand, and there's just a weird mannequin statue of a guy, like big happy dude offering you sushi in the background while you are arguing about, while you're trying to coax a witness to sort of like come forward. And just in the background, there's this preposterous like statue just looming over it. And that I think is where a lot of the comedy comes from. But in terms of the moment to moment, a lot of it is like genuinely like, character beats and unpacking the story. And like the investigation itself feels pretty grounded in terms of how the Yakuza are presented. So like, I hope I will have the time to stick with it. I think the issue I run into with these games is already it's like, hey, you should do side quests.
Yeah.
And the more of those you add in, like I have a hard time not doing those. But in general, I can already tell I'm gonna enjoy them less. Like, every time they're like, hey, can you do a boring favor for a friend you're not really sold on as a character yet? And also, we didn't record any dialogue, so the performance isn't going to really happen for this.
Yeah.
That's going to get tough.
I hope you stick with it because I've heard it's like really solid all the way through, in terms of the main thrust of the plot and stuff, and also because I could live vicariously through you because I also did not stick with it and did the podcast. Here's what this game is, and then never went back to it because that's what it means to be a podcaster sometimes, unfortunately. All right, let's take a quick dip in the question bucket. We got a lot of follow-ups on some ice cream material that we put out in the world. Gaming at device.com. Kent writes in, regarding the ice cream microwaving discussion from episode 385, I have what may be an unusual take. I myself... I myself forgo the microwave unless an ice cream scoop is unavailable, in which case I may nuke it for 5 seconds or so. My fiancée, however, insists on having her ice cream whipped. This basically entails me getting her ice cream into a bowl and then beating the shit out of it with a spoon until it's in some sort of state between regular ice cream that's been sitting out for 5 minutes and soft serve. It's a little tricky when it's a Ben & Jerry's flavor with lots of hard bits like fish food or something. Note that me microwaving this portion for the same effect does not work. She can tell. Not sure
this is not dissimilar to me switching.
This is similar to you.
The chocolate syrup and into scoops of ice cream as a kid.
That does sound like that to me. Yeah. Rob, you seem
I don't
like
think
you
it
have an
does, actually.
Why?
Patrick, you're mashing syrup into the ice cream and moving.
No. This is. I'm essentially making like a milkshake for myself. Like I'm taking the ice cream.
Were you drinking it with a straw, or were you still spooning it?
No, I was just spoon it. I would spoon it. This does sound similar. But it was always just basic vanilla. I was just making chocolate ice cream. I was just using vanilla and chocolate syrup. And
you'd had a Cold Stone, you would have been on there doing the whole.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's got to be more complicated when you're dealing with like all the bits inside as well, which I none of that occurred during my youth.
That kind of sounds. Austin, the Cold Stone thing, I think, sounds a little bit like what she's going for there at the end, the end product.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking like that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
a lot of work.
I don't know that I'm doing that work.
That's Rob Zachney saying that. That's Rob. I'm gonna make salad dressing at the counter before I eat a salad.
So unless I'll just not make a salad because that sounds like a lot of work.
Exactly.
Here would be my follow-up though.
True.
If this is a regular issue, is this a case where it's like you just got to get a stand mixer? You got to get a stand mixer. You got to fling that ice cream in there, and enough that the big paddle will actually stick and not just like fling it around.
Right.
And then like really quickly. Sort of beat it with the paddle to get that texture, because that's the only way I can think of doing it where it wouldn't like just be a colossal pain in the ass that I would not put up
I was kind of surprised when the sentence ended in with a spoon instead of with like a hand mixer or something, because that's gonna take for fucking ever.
Maybe she can tell.
Here's the trick.
Wants zero machines involved.
Do it so that it's melty enough that you could just stick a mixer in, like a hand mixer in there, right? And I think it'll work.
Wait, do what? Mic it, you're saying?
Yeah, like nuke it until it's
just bop, and then you can get the mixer in there.
Yeah, like then the mixing becomes easier, especially with a hand mixer.
I think the texture.
It's still going to be wrong.
The texture is going to be the issue.
It's going to be wrong. Yeah,
once you get that liquid to melt, it's going to change the texture.
Yeah,
right.
It totally does. This one comes in from Dylan from Houston. I make ice cream soup. However, it is not the same ice cream soup as previously discussed. I get a large bowl of ice cream.
But I'm different.
I get a large bowl of ice cream and pour milk on top, as if it were a bowl of cereal. You get nice little frozen mini flakes as it crystallizes on the ice cream. You get a milkshake-esque drink at the end of the bowl, but most importantly, the ice cream itself is less dry. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dry. I get it. It sounds weird, but I don't know how else to describe it. Try it and you will understand. I can't eat ice cream any other way. Apparently, this is only a thing my sister and I do. I've never found anyone else who does this. P.S. Microwaving ice cream is for monsters. Obviously, it would ruin any remaining ice cream.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't have that opinion if you're out here pouring milk on your ice cream.
You just have to say, I'm doing it weird too. I respect the other ice cream weirdos.
Yes.
You're building a hierarchy out of it.
They're not wrong, though.
Risky proposition.
When you nuke the whole thing and make it soup, refreezing that just ruins the fucking texture going forward for anyone else. What?
Wait! Ben emails us saying, hey y'all, on the subject of ice cream eating methods, any of y'all ever get a bowl of ice cream and then pour milk over it?
Whoa!
It's like a lazy man's milkshake. You get those great ice crystals that every good milkshake has. That's it. Love the show. What? What?
Now all we've done is just invite
God.
a bunch of completely deranged people who pour milk onto their ice cream.
Look, it's the same shit.
I'm out here.
Honestly.
What's the Arrested Development?
It's dairy.
Like, there's 10 of us.
God.
Man, people out here making affogatos, pouring fucking coffee over ice cream. What's a little milk, you know?
The coffee over ice cream sounds great to me. I'll do an avocado.
Good.
That sounds, yeah. Fuck. Yeah. This one's not about ice cream, but it is about Cado's food hand situation. This comes in from Joe CS, who says, I was listening to the most recent episode. I was laughing about Cado not wanting to touch the meat when I realized I have my own version of this. Once I start eating, it is important that I always have at least one clean hand. The issue comes up most frequently when eating wings, ribs, or even a particularly messy burger. I will do my best to use only one hand to hold the item so my other hand can be free of sauce or grease and be able to use a fork for side dishes, hold a napkin, or even check my phone. I've been told that this is weird. Is this weird? I simply do not like having barbecue sauce, etc. on both my hands at the same time. Eagerly anticipating your ruling on this matter, Joe CS.
I
do this.
I agree.
I think what's weird is that you can do it. Like, that's like, if I could keep a hand clean while like digging into a plate of like really saucy barbecue, I would enjoy that, because it does suck when like your fork is all tacky and like you have to check your phone. Now your phone's tacky. Hate that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I lack the dexterity. Like, I got to get in there with both hands. That's just like, I try. I'm like, it would be good if this hand were clean, but like the wing, for example, like to get that little meat in between the two bones, I need two hands to get in there.
Well, and it's also the case, like, whenever I have, like, a fancy burger, I'm always getting, like, a fried egg on it. And, like, once you've gone down that path,
you're
like,
not getting out of that,
well, and you have to just, like, you're just eating the whole burger now. Like, you're just going to sit there, and when you're taking a break from eating, you're just holding the burger until you're ready to continue feasting. And then you're just taking whatever goo is on your hands, and that's just going on the fries or whatever until you've completed the burger eating process. Right. Like, there's not a situation where, like, I'm cleaning off the egg. Same with the buffalo is like, I'm not cleaning off and then going back. It's like, we're here. It's dirty.
We're
and
family.
Then if I got to make sure that I got a straw in that drink, or my wife, hey, I need a sip of that beer. Like, I need some help right now to get that in there. Let's go. Like, you do what you got to do to complete the mission.
I would say a lot of places could stand to bring you some wet wipes midway through the meal. Just so, like, look, I need to call time here. I need to check my phone. You know what? I can maybe use a new fork or something. I just like want to like get a little, like, do a little grooming,
right? And
then I can dig into the rest of this meal. But like the whole thing, like, this happens more at barbecue places where it's like the wet wipe is the treat at the end, or it's like, now you're done eating, and I'm like, I could have used this 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I always end up thinking about the episode of Pete and Pete. The Adventures of Pete and Pete, in which a weird inspector shows up who wants everything to be perfect. And they challenge him to like a perfection off. And the final challenge is eating barbecue. And he does it and he stays perfectly clean while doing it. And he loses because when you eat barbecue, you're supposed to get messy. Getting messy is part of the experience. And, you know, it's a kid show. It's like, hey, listen, don't beat yourself up too bad about being a little messy. Hey, not everything has to be prim and proper. Pete and Pete is 100% like a bunch of Gen Xers doing their best to make the youth television they wish they had, and that justified their own actions. And I don't know. I've always think about that when I get messy. I'm like, you know what? It's barbecue. It's wings. My hands are supposed to be messy. That is, I don't do it when it's like wings or something like that. But Cado, I'm sure you've seen me at lunch when we've gotten lunch in person together, holding a big greasy burger in one hand and my phone in the other one, and like never the twain shall meet. I 100% do this. So I just also want to be ready to go.
I just also do this during prep. I have the same. It's the exact same feeling, except it's during making of the food as well. That's why I didn't want to touch the meat. Okay.
Right.
This is like I have never like the thing I started doing. We have a ridiculous number of kitchen towels for this exact reason. Like the minute I read when Anthony Bourdain would set up his prep area, it was like just a tower of kitchen towels. I was like, oh, it could be like that.
It could be like that. You could just do that.
Yeah, and so now like I cook one meal, and there's like 5 kitchen towels in the cleanup area.
I love it. That's fantastic. Another food one here comes in from John, who says, recent podcasts being stuffed with food and food prep questions have been very entertaining. However, as a Knoll taster, N-U-L-L taster, pleasures from food for me are not derived from taste, but other factors like the company it's shared with. When dining with those unfamiliar with my peculiar palate, it is common for casual conversation to pose these questions. What do you think of the food? In these situations, I simply lie or at least hedge with statements like, I like the sauce or the bread is good. So now I'll ask the Waypoint crew, have you ever found yourself in a situation where a little white lie was the superior action over telling someone you dislike the food or drink that they are providing to you? Thanks. Really enjoy the texture of the pod. Extremely funny.
It's got good mouthfeel.
Now the question is, what's the texture of the pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have a good ear feel?
Oh, I think we're definitely like milk is poured over this pod, and like there's different textures within it, but
little crystal flakes up top. I've definitely the thing for me ends up being in a group situation has been how I ended up expanding my palate as I moved into adulthood and like stopped just eating the same 6 things. Not 6 things. I was not ever that limited, but you know what I mean, right? There were lots of things I was like, oh, this seems gross. I don't want to have it. And then you end up at a friend's house and their parents cooked this for you, or there's a party and this is the only thing that's there. And you're like, yeah, I guess I'll try that because I don't want to be rude.
Right.
The peer pressure. And in the cases where I don't like it, I do my best not to eat it and say it was good. I absolutely lie my way through those situations. I'm not going to be like an asshole and be like, well, actually, I think this is just a little too bland for me.
I think it definitely depends on what the thing is, right? If there's like, if there's like if it's like a thing where I can shove it off onto like one of the ingredients, like, oh, I just don't like that thing, period. Like, I don't like goat cheese. I'm not going to eat this thing with goat. It's not about how you prepared it. It's just that I don't like that cheese. But otherwise I would, absolutely just be like, oh yeah, this is good. I ate before I came. It's all right. I don't eat too much.
Oh, that's a code.
I ate before I came, but you came over to have food, motherfucker.
Cado thinks he's smooth.
Cado thinks he's smooth.
The real thing is that I think most of the times I've been over to a place, I end up being the one cooking. Because of because 2 things. You end up hitting 2 things.
Because
one,
of certain. No, can you finish the first thought, Cado? Can we go back?
because one, most people will appreciate someone else taking up the cooking, right? Okay,
that's true.
2, if I do it, I'm not gonna fuck it up.
Wow. All right. Like that's the most aggressive way you could have phrased that. Rob.
I love to cook for people. He could have said. I really love it when
I
like to cook for other people. I like to take the because I have the skills to do it. I like to spread that skills to other people.
We've learned today Cado will not tell a little white lie to make everyone around him feel more.
Just like if I'm at a barbecue, I'm definitely watching and or literally at the grill because people tend to overcook shit. Just as a rule, and.
Again, you could have said, I feel like I have a really good mastery over the way.
I understand the timing in a way that I don't have to worry about it.
I'm putting on timers.
The Cado does not end up cooking. It is that Cado has bullied his friends into just giving up on like if Cado's coming over,
Cado's going to come over and he's going to hover over you and tell you what to do anyway. So just fucking give him all the oven stuff and just like go have a drink. It's just easier that way. Cado's here.
I'm here. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
I can see
it's
it.
All good.
You know what? Honestly, God bless you.
Yeah,
I would be honored to have you come over and be like, Cado, you got this, right?
Yeah, I do. I will, and I do.
God bless. You know what? Yeah, I respect the swagger. I'm down for it.
I've said on this podcast before that my wife is a wonderful cook, and there even times that things have not been perfect, like they're always good. Like even when she's the one who beats herself up, she's like, I don't. There's no flavor here. I was like, I don't. Is this what not flavored? I'm good. I guess my standards are trash then. Like I'm fine. Is usually the reaction. And then the one time I had to like push the bowl away and be like, I can't eat this. Was gazpacho, cold soup, like seafood soup, a difficult dish to make. She did it once, and I don't even like the concept. Like, there's not a world where I'm gonna like. If we're talking about like food you will reject, I will not. Whoever is making good gazpacho, like I don't want cold fish soup. Like, just not on the agenda. And she made it. I tried to have an open mind, and I said, I don't. But put a fish in a bag, a hot bag, and I'll eat the shit out of that, like we did at PAX East. Think about that food all the time.
that was a fun trip.
And I said, I was like, I don't. I was like, Katie, maybe it's just me and I don't like this style of food. And she goes, no, this is trash. I'm just glad that you said it first. And I was like, oh, okay, because I've been very stressed about not liking this and telling you that I don't like it.
Corey.
So,
go ahead. No, you go ahead. Wow.
I was just thinking, to Cado's point, so like in dealing with like food that isn't amazing, like, so Cado's solution is fuck it, I will do it myself. Very Thanos. Like Thanos is coming over for dinner. He's like, I guess I gotta make this, and just into the kitchen. Yeah, like
Everything.
I think I used to think
prepared food there slowly moves it into the trash. I brought my own stuff.
Yeah.
I used to think I was good at hiding my reactions. I used to think like, I can dissimulate very effectively, and it turns out.
When did you think that? That's not on a list of skills I would attribute to Rob, but that's very cute that you thought that at one point.
So Rob's acting has never null sold anything in his life.
Yeah, where I realized that in fact I was broadcasting very much my feelings about food was this one time a bunch of friends they're like, hey, let's go and like have a night out in Koreatown. Cool. All the places we knew to go to were just slammed. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, let's just pick some place. Like, it's getting late. And this is one of those nights where like already, like we should just call this. This should not, we no longer know what to eat. We certainly don't know the cuisine well enough to like really identify through the window like what looks like a happening place. And it's getting late and people are getting cranky. We should have just called it, but instead it's like, let's go into one of these random like strip malls that are all over LA, those corner strip malls, and just find a place. And
they're great places in some of those strip malls. Those strip malls are secretly home to fantastic cuisine that you
but they're also home to completely bland and interchangeable.
100%. Yes.
And like we ended up in one of those, or we just ordered the wrong thing off the menu. Because like we just couldn't, like, I'm sure that place probably had its specialties, but like we didn't.
How would you identify them if you weren't there with someone who said, oh, what you should get is blah? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I ended up with a seafood chicken stew. That was just badly underseasoned and also was extremely well armored against you eating it. Like it was sort of coarse chopped chicken cubes, so like bones everywhere. The crab had a high carpus to meat ratio.
Yeah.
And then there was just no flavor in it. And I was like, just be cool. Like we're having a night out with friends. Like this was, we're all happy to be here. I'm just going to quietly try to crack my way into anything edible here. I'm just going to try to get through this. And so I'm like doing a good job, like being gracious, like really nailing it. And then I hear my friend's wife just bursts out laughing. And she's just like, I can't get over Rob's face. I've never seen someone look at food with such moral blame and disappointment.
That adds up. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Not just like disgust, but fucking complex emotions coming off of your face.
I apparently was looking into that bowl like that bowl held every disappointment that I'd ever experienced in my life.
Incredible.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not enjoying this. I hope you're not offended, but I don't think I'm going to eat. And once we leave this place, I might want to eat somewhere else.
Just grab something.
Where's a pizza slice?
Yeah, I was going to say, grab a pizza slice just to...
Well,
LA isn't really that style of spot, right? So
no, but if we'd walked literally any direction, we could have gotten some like Korean barbecue wings or something. It was the search for something fancier than just any number of the like convenience food stands that were everywhere.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I gotta tell you, we've always known that you're discerning in palate and many other ways. It comes through loud and clear to us, bud. All right, I think that's gonna. Oh wait, I was starting to read something from Corey. Let me read that question or that note. Corey from Memphis says, "What's up, y'all? Your discussion last Friday of corn dogs and pickle imposters made me think of my greatest guilty pleasure, the Pronto Pup. Does that mean anything to anyone on this podcast? No, me either. I thought it was a national thing, but I realized it's not everywhere. In case y'all aren't aware, it's a foot-long corn dog made of 2 hot dogs skewered, dipped in pancake batter instead of cornmeal batter, and fried, normally served brushed with yellow mustard. The batter makes it a little denser and crunchier than your standard corn dog, and it's marvelous. A festival or fair is a bust without one around these parts. Appreciate the show and the food bucket you got going here. Yeah, we got a food bucket going more than a question bucket. That sounds all right. I'm now like, I should have a corn dog. Next time I'm like, dude, there's a street fair and there's corn dogs, I'm going to get a corn dog. I'm ready. I'm ready to move into the world of corn dogs. Finally.
I think you might need to be in the corn dog belt, though. That's the problem. Is like, I'm not sure I would be like...
You don't think a New York corn dog is going to do it?
I have my suspicions.
The hipster dog is not going to qualify in the same way.
I bet a Jersey Fair corn dog is perfectly fine.
I could see that.
There's parts of Jersey that are in that space. You know, there's rural Jersey in a real way. So maybe if I go home and find my way to a...
Yeah, I bet you in New York, it just ends up in that really dumb place that a lot of like regional food ends up, where it's like the chef is from this region and he's prepared his treatment of the corn dog, and it's a good corn dog.
But it's like this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. A street fair, and specifically the sort of street fairs that exist in parts of New York, including my part of New York, where it's just like you can always see a bouncy castle from the bouncy castle you're standing at. That there's just like the same block of cheap jewelry and weird toy stands and vinyl record booths, but then repeated over, and not like hipster vinyl record booths, like a guy who showed up to sell music, and like even though no one buys anything, like I'm gonna do this for the rest of my fucking life. I'm gonna go to every street fair in New York and sell you this old Elvis Costello record because I know you like Elvis Costello, even though you don't even have a fucking vinyl player hooked up, Austin, idiot. Give me $12. And now it'll be the same thing, except now I'll have a corn dog in my hand. My one hand, my other hand will be clean to peruse music that I don't need to buy. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. I think that corn dog has a better chance of being good than the like fancy food fair. New York, that one's gonna be trash. I'm with you. Or it's not gonna be. It might be good, but it won't be a corn dog.
Well, I mean, so some of the best hot chicken I've had was at a place where like the cook really did an enthusiasm for hot chicken, but it's different than like
it's not hot chicken.
If you go to the South.
Right.
There's hot chicken everywhere. Here, there was one place, and it was like more precious than rubies, where it was like, here's your, here you are at the gastropub. You want some Nashville hot chicken? Here's your chicken thigh. That'll be $12.
Yes. There's a place. So do y'all have seen this thing of like during COVID, a bunch of kitchens and restaurants have like opened up fake restaurants on online ordering systems. Say it again.
The ghost kitchen?
Yeah, the ghost kitchen. The ghost kitchen phenomenon. Yes. A place opened near me called Nash's Hot Chicken. which you would think is like, oh, it's gonna be like a Nashville hot chicken place. No, my friend, it is a place that also is a bunch of other, fake online ordering ghost kitchen, and it is just like a big chicken tender covered in every spice they could find, but not. And I mean like Old Bay on that motherfucker, like and too much, and dry spice, like just caked on there in the batter in a way that is not. It is not Nashville hot chicken. It is not that delicious, deep, mouth watering at the same time mouth burning flavor. And I was like, you know what? I'll take a shot on this once and then never again. And so you be careful out there if you're ordering from places,
dude,
that you've never heard of before.
The sheer number of times at this point, I'm like, oh, that's a new place on Grubhub or something.
Not
and then
true.
I'm like, wait, look up their map location.
Exactly.
And either it's a
they're next to
different
the airport?
restaurant.
Yeah,
or they're
sure.
nowhere.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And they're getting really sketch too, because like, as with anything, they tell a little story about the restaurant in their fucking Grubhub thing. And there's a lot of places claiming like, just an authentic Mexican family restaurant. And I'm like, that's unusual because like, there's a lot of different like Latinx identities around Boston, but not a ton of Mexican people. So cool, great. What is this place? Oh no, this is actually where the burritos that like Sal's Pizzeria makes. Like that's what they're doing. And there's a lot of places that are like, we're a black-owned business, and it's like extremely not.
Yeah,
it is.
Y'all are lying.
Yeah, like is that quite to the degree that like Chili's is offering their wings through a different restaurant portal, but it is up there with like a lot of your classic like subs and pastas and pizza places are like, we could be anything you want us to be. We'll just like the Janus-faced restaurant of the ghost kitchen.
See, the thing is, I would actually love if someone did a breakdown. I think the whole thing is fucked because also we know that delivery apps are also generally fucked in terms of who gets paid from them. But I would love someone to do a breakdown of like, are there any really good ghost kitchen brands out there in terms of like, oh wow, actually, use the example you just used, Chili's wings. I don't know anything about Chili's wings, but let's say Chili's wings are actually pretty good. What if there was a ghost kitchen for Chili's wings and the prices were better because it didn't have Chili's next to the name? Like, I would love to know if there were deals. Let me know if there are deals out there. I'm trying to find deals in my life.
At Austin_deals.
Austin_deals is my new alt.
Well, I think like specifically that is what Chili's
that's your
is
private.
doing.
No, I believe you, but are they also price cutting? And also, are Chili's wings actually any good?
No, the answer is they're fine.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I think they're price cutting. I think
See,
like you're getting
good.
better, like because on the Chili's menu it's like an app, but they're just like people love these fucking wings, so they're doing like bulk orders. However, we have noted of late there's been a wing price increase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If I like went on one of these sites and did like show newest, can I do show newest? I guess I can't do newest on Grubhub, huh? I just want to see. I want to see all of the places that did not exist last year, but do now, and also are just the same places from last year, but fake.
See, that none of that happens out in the suburbs. It's just like when there's a new place, it's like tremendously exciting because it's like, oh, your permits went through and like a place was built, and like there's no. I would love a ghost kitchen out in the northwest suburbs. Instead, it's just there's another McDonald's.
You're gonna get cursed now. Yeah, you can totally do by new here, and yeah, I'm the ones that are here. Oh yeah, Moe's Famous Burgers. This is 100%. I guarantee. Super fake. Though what if it isn't and now it's doomed because when I look at this I go like, wait a second, is this actually a real place?
Well, this is the thing.
Or is it
like this shitty practice makes it hard for actual new businesses to break through.
Yeah.
And like so now it's like become one of those things. It's like scam phone calls where like, you know what I don't do? I don't answer my phone anymore because there's so many. So like, oh, a new place is on Grubhub? I'm not doing that because I don't know who you are. I'm just going to assume that you're a place I've already ordered from and I didn't like it. And they figured out that nobody likes their shitty food. So they just changed the name and are selling it again.
Yeah.
Did you see
That place I just said, by the way, Most Famous Burgers, is 100% just a deli near me that I know that I've ordered from. I've gone to that deli before.
Good.
Like,
But if they're a deli, they're probably not famous for their burgers.
they are not
No.
famous for their burgers. I would
Yeah.
not touch their burgers.
So, this is a few months ago, but like some esports adjacent dude, I can't remember this, rolled out a national, like, you know what I love, I take seriously? Burgers. I'm going to roll out a national brand of my burgers. I'm going to work with, like, I'm going to curate the menu, and like wherever you are, you can get my burgers. And like the rollout was apparently a complete shit show, because what it was an attempt to do was weave together a network of ghost kitchens to deploy the food like nationally through this one guy's like personal brand. And it went nightmarishly badly. Because people just started adding him, being like, your burgers fucking suck. Or worse, in a lot of cases, they weren't showing up. And the issue was, of course, that like, if you don't have, our friend Chef Lubu sort of explained this to me a little bit.
Shout out
like,
to Chef Lubu.
He was like, look, you can have like Cisco or something come out and like do a mass deployment of a menu. They will come in and set you up with a franchise like model once. But then you got to be able to execute that at your various locations again and again and again. But if you're just trying to like astroturf a consistent menu across like a bunch of different ghost kitchens, it's going to be a nightmare because there won't have been like an executive chef or chef de cuisine to have like standardized that. And like this was the next step of, this was an attempt at the next step of the ghost kitchen. Like, what if we could just deploy a chain nationally, virtually, and complete collapse.
Totally. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap this up. We'll be back next week with more. You can find me on Twitter at Austin_Walker. You can find everything we do, twitter.com/waypoint, waypoint.vice.com. Where can people find you, Cado?
At A_Cado_appears.
Rob.
At Rob Zachney.
Patrick.
Patrick Kloppick.
As always, you can find out more about, or thank you to Bowen for the theme song, Miss You off the EP Pale Machine. Find out more about that at waypoint.zone/BOEN. I forgot my own rambling outro here. And we'll be back next week with more. I hope everyone has a good weekend. Please send me your energy as I go to get my first back shot tonight. I hope it doesn't knock me out too bad. We'll see how it goes. All right. So see y'all on Monday. Until then, and as always, fuck capitalism and go home.
Mr. Beast Burgers. That's who that dude was.
Beast
Mr.
Burgers?
Beast.
Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. That's a different.
If there were a place, like, honestly, I'd be like, if I open Grobin's like, Mr. Beast, here's burgers.
Yeah,
I'm like, that
a Beast
place
burger.
sounds like they know what's up.
Beast Burger. Mr. Beast.
Beast like
All
the
right.
Beast.
Beast like the beast. Feast. Wait, did you say feast like the beast?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you said beast like the beast, which is extremely funny. It's the same thing twice. All right, I'm going. Bye. Have a good
Later.
weekend, y'all.
See ya.
We had a late meeting last night, Cado, and so it feels like we already did this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've made the decision to delay Deathloop to September 14th,
I
2021.
knew it. What did I say? One second. We gotta. Everyone start recording. I'm gonna come in on me being Victoria.
I'm already recording. I'm
Yeah,
in.
good.
26 seconds. Oh, and I gotta open my browser.
Open your browser. I
I
said
want to
this
bring
in-
up the Jets thing, like, out indefinitely. Deathloop.
do.
Well, there's a
This
website where you
sentence.
can.
Oh, can you build those?
I'm gonna look.
Please. I've been listening to the Out Injured NFL Fox NFL on Fox music lately because it's just so funny to me. You know that song, right? You know that's just like a minor key version of the NFL on Fox theme. It's just it's great. Time that is
Time that is.
54 seconds.
Hold on. I was trying to remember the Christmas song that the Fox
That didn't
music sounds
happen.
exactly
It
like.
didn't
happen.
Yeah.
No one did it.
Yeah,
I did it.
All right, and now
Patrick
I'm
did
ready.
it.
Oh, Patrick did. I couldn't see Patrick because
I
I'm not
missed it.
clicked over. All right, 10 seconds. There we
There
go.
we go.